is there a unifying pole in that tent, the way that coin was for the last 10 years, or digitization was in the 90s, or airland battle and the Big Five were? Is there something that you can say across the Army, hey, this is the big effort that the nation is backing with big resources, or at least significant resources, as opposed to, hey, we're the Army and we do a lot of different stuff and we kind of make do with whatever we have left over after the Iraq and Afghanistan reset?
Yeah, I think the way I'd answer this, Sidney, is our current Army modernization priority that we've worked for the last couple of years is still there, and that is the whole idea of Mission Command. And I think Mission Command is the single unifying factor in terms of providing all of our leaders and soldiers and their formations with the ability to do this variety of mission sets that we may call on them to do, whether it be Combined Arms Maneuver mission set, or Wide Area Security mission set. And our leader development programs and our professional military education and our combat training centers will very much focus on the art of Mission Command.
And that translates on the materiel side to things like Win-T, for example, I guess, in terms of sort of trying to put a piece of hardware to that, even though you've emphasized hardware is not the be-all and end-all.
Yeah, I wouldn't use it the material side, Sidney. I would say the network, because the network has hardware components to it, as you know. I mean, the network also has the cyber challenge to it. The network has a leader development challenge to it, because you have to fight the networks, something we've not done before. We have to learn how to use and fight and employ the network almost as we would other weapon systems. So it's more than just the hardware. How is our doctrine going to change as a result of a network? What's the impact of the network on each of our warfighting functions? What organizational changes or adjustments are we going to make in order to get the most out of our network, et cetera, et cetera. So I do think it's fair to say it's beyond that, and we can't just take an equipment approach to it.
Thank you, General. And I know you had a previous another engagement, because it's 2:35 now. Were there any closing statements you'd like to make?
Let me go ahead and take one more question, then I'll close out, because I'm looking at my notes here, and I don't think Gail or Gary got to ask a question.
Yes, sir. Oh, not a problem at all. Gail, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Thank you, General. My question concerns lessons that you learned perhaps in your intelligence support and during the last 10 years, and how you're factoring in your new organization training, like, for instance, the sensor to shooter, the amount of information sharing with coalition, the lack of intelligence personnel that had an expertise in the socio-political, economic environment of Afghanistan and Iraq.
Okay, I'm going to try to give you a briefer answer than I did before, so that I can try to get a short question from Gary. The biggest lessons, I'll just give you my personal thoughts. The biggest innovations that we had in the war, I believe, are our counter-IED efforts and jammers for the lives that they saved, and our aerial intelligence and surveillance operations. Not only the sensors, but the unmanned aerial sensors, and in fact, manned platforms that operated those sensors. So the business about reconnaissance and surveillance, and that those sensors and platforms that are involved in reconnaissance and surveillance operations is absolutely huge. And you know what? Those things are part of the network. They're part of the network that we're going to. So whether it be Combined Arms Maneuver, Wide Area Security Operations, the collection of information from reconnaissance and surveillance operations, the translation of that information into intelligence so that we can act on that intelligence is huge, and that will be foremost in any formations preparation through the R4 Gen cycle. And it's not just material. It's adjusting our doctrine, organization, training, leader development, everything. Gary, can I get a short one from you so I don't leave anybody out?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Gary Sheftig, Our News. Believe you said that the Army needs to send more NCOs and officers to training centers and schools to serve as instructors, and understand some of those may replace contractors. I'm wondering if you could quantify, are we talking 500, 1,000, 2,000 NCOs, and what would be the timeline to move those to the institutional Army?
Okay, the shorter answer is, Gary, I don't know yet. We are working on it. In our broader effort to look at what does the Army of 2020 look like, and when we think about what personnel policies do we need to do to invest in our soldiers and leaders, one of the things we're looking at is where can mid-grade leaders, captains, senior non-commissioned officers, where can they where else can they go in the force where they haven't been able to go over the last 10 years and we've really missed them? And one of the examples is to be instructors in our schoolhouses. There's other parts of our institutional Army, though, that you're well aware of. I mean, we've got our entire acquisition corps, our folks in our Army test community, our folks in our major headquarters, our folks in our combat training centers, our folks in our Army Service Component Command headquarters that are regionally forward deployed throughout the world, our training base, whether it be recruiting or basic training, or in our schoolhouses, professional military instructions. So I gave an example. I think that is part of the answer. I don't know the numbers yet, but the Army is going to be analyzing that particular question in a great amount of detail, and we'll come up with what we think is the best answer. But I'm sorry I don't have a number yet, and I can't tell you when we're going to have the number. But we are looking at the options.
Thank you, sir.
So, in summary, and I really appreciate the time to talk to you. So, what I wanted to try to do is, and we haven't really talked about before, is what does our Army investment strategy mean? And again, it's not about additional money. It's all about readiness. How do we take our new environment into account? How do we improve the way we invest in the resources that we have in a way that we invest in our soldiers? And we believe that it's about Army modernization, and modernization is more than just new equipment. Modernization is about what we do to adjust our doctrine, our organization, our training, leader development, our people, and the facilities that support all the above. And yeah, we still have material, and we've learned a lot of hard lessons about how we do material smarter, and we are implementing those. But it's about taking a broader approach, and we're doing that. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out for us, and thank you to everyone again for your great questions and participation. Before we end the call, I just wanted to invite everyone to visit www.army.mil/professional to watch many of the panels and presentations with our Army senior leaders going on at AUSA, and you can also follow the Twitter hashtag #AUSA 2012. Thank you again, and this ends our roundtable.